Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to continue our Adding AI to Your App series. Today we're going to use ChatGPT to prompt and generate an image that will be saved into our backend as a service. So here I am at my Back for App dashboard where we have the app that we created for audio and upload of files, and I'm going to create a new class by clicking this Add a Class button. Here I'm going to choose a custom class. I'm going to name my class Image and I'll make it public. So I'm going to start adding a few properties to it. The first one is going to be a string that I'll be naming prompt. In here, I will add in the prompt that I'll be sending to ChatGPT to generate the file for us. Then I'm going to click Add and Continue. And I'll also create a file property that I'm going to call File. And this will hold the image that the ChatGPT will going to generate for us. I'll click Add in here. And there we go, we have our image class with our prompt as a string and file as a file. And here in my Cloud Code section, I'm going to open my main.js file where we're going to use the same strategy and use a Cloud Code trigger to start writing our code. So I'll start by typing parse.cloud.aft save. And in here we're going to have our class name, our image with a capital E, capital I, and then type async request that we're going to arrow function to our code. And inside here there are a few things we can start doing. The very first one is to read the object from the request. So I'm going to type const image object equals request.object. This will make it simpler for me to read the properties that I have in my class. So let's get the prompt part. So const prompt equals image object dot get. Gets how you read properties in parse. And then I'll specify the property that I'm looking for, in this case, prompt. And I can also add a if statement in here because I only want this code to run for new objects. So every time a prompt exists but not the image, then I want to run this trigger. So if image object dot existed, so if the image already exists, I'm going to just return. I don't want to do anything. Otherwise, it will keep on the code, and in here I will have a try-catch block that I'm going to print to my log. So console log error, and then my error. Now, inside the try part is where we're going to write our request to ChatGPT, and if we get a URL back, save it as a file. So let's do that. Now we can use the OpenAI NPM module to make the request for us, but for that to happen, we need to create the request first. So here inside my try block, I'm going to type const response equals. I'll wait because this will be an asynchronous call. OpenAI.images.generate, and this will have a JSON object inside it. So let's compose this JSON object. The very first property in this JSON object will be the model. So model, and we're going to use DALL-E3, which is the ChatGPT equivalent to image generation. Then we will have to pass in the prompt that we just read from our property. So prompt and prompt. Now we have to set the size of the image that we want. So size, and I want this to be 1024 pixels by 1024 pixels. And then we can specify the number of images that we want to generate. I only have place for one image in my class, so we'll put n as the number and then 1. And there you go, we'll have exactly the prompt that the request that will send the prompt to ChatGPT into this DALL-E3 model to generate the image for us. Now, if this works, we'll have a object back, and we need to extract the URL part of it. We'll do that by typing const image URL equals response.data. We'll get the array index 0 from it, and then URL. Now we have the URL that we need to create the parse file that we'll store in our class, and I'll show you how to do it in just a minute. Now that we got our URL back from DALL-E or ChatGPT, we're going to use that with Axios to create a request and then save it as an object inside our parse file. So here is how we're going to do it. We already have the URL from this image URL variable here, and we need to use Axios to go there, grab the data from the file, and then store it in parse. We'll do that by typing const image const image response equals await, because this will once again be an asynchronous call, axios.get, and then our image URL from the object up here that I just wrongly renamed. So there we go. I'm going to copy that and paste in here. It seems correctly spelled. And then we have to set the type of response that we want. We want an array of buffers so we can generate a binary file. So a comma, we'll put a JSON object in here, response type, and then array buffer. There we go. Now we need to create a buffer with this data so we can store it as a file. So const image buffer equals buffer from image response dot data, and this will be a binary buffer. So I'm going to specify binary. Now it's time for us to finally create the file that will be stored in our parse file. We can use this this buffer that we just created to do that. So let's go and type const parse file equals new parse.file. Then we need to pass in the file name that we want. In my case, I'm going to call it image.png. And then we're going to put a JSON object. We will be using a base64 encoded string to store it. So base64 and then image buffer dot to string and then base64. Finally, we need to save this file. So await parse file dot save. Now we have the parse file saved, and we need to set it as our property. And let's see how we do that. And it's finally time for us to use the parse file that we just created and save it as a property into my image class. So I just noticed that I mistyped cloud here, so I'm going to remove this I, so it's cloud, not cloud. And in here I have a parse file, and all I need to do in order to save it as a property is to set it into this image object we created in the beginning of the code. So we'll create a new line here and type image object dot set, and we're going to set our file property to our parse file. Now we need to actually save the object inside the database. We'll do that by typing await, because once again this is an asynchronous call, and image object.save, and we need to pass in a few parameters in here. The first one is null, because we won't be sending any data to actually be saved. We'll already set it on the line 35 above, and we need to use the master key so it can override any ACLs or CLPs that you have in the class. So do that by creating a JSON object and setting user must use master key and then true. We can then finally print something to the console, so we have some logs. So console log image saved. Let's deploy this code. There you go. Now if I go back to my database and open my image class, click add a row, we can then set a prompt. So an image of a black Persian cat. When I click add, this will take a little time because it's going to query DALL-E 3 and it should create the file for me. There you go, it was created, but as you can see the file is still undefined. I need to refresh this to actually see it. And there you go, we have our image PNG over there. So if I click this little arrow, there you go, our black Persian cat is displayed and saved as a parse file. So if you enjoyed this content, please leave a like in this video and consider subscribing to the channel so you'll never miss out on new content like this. We have new videos about how to add AI to your app coming soon. See you soon. Bye bye.